Now let me go ahead and do a camera test between them. So we have dual camera setups on both. On the Galaxy S10e, we have a 12 megapixel wide angle lens and then a 16 megapixel ultrawide sensor. Whereas on the Pixel 5, we have a 12.2 megapixel wide angle lens and a 16 megapixel ultrawide sensor. And I've said this before, and I really do think it's probably the Galaxy S10e's biggest asset. And it's when it comes down to the features of both cameras, you're probably going to have more features from a camera like even a Galaxy S10e, which is over a year old, than on a stock version of the Pixel 5. Now there's custom ROMs you can install that have more features in the cameras, and there's apps you can install too. But if we're looking at the stock camera app, I mean, this is a really good example. I mean, it seems like Samsung just does a really good job in their cameras, even though their UI is glitchy and all that stuff on terms of like even outside the camera app. But you can see how many more features you're getting built in on the Galaxy S10e than on the Google Pixel 5. So that's another really big thing to keep in mind. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but at the end of the day, it is something to kind of, remember. Now with the Pixel 5, I think the biggest asset that this phone has is the software enhancements that Google puts in. I mean, if you take this camera, this is really bad lighting, but if you take this camera outdoors and look at all these photos and stuff, and I've been trying to do a bunch of photo comparisons, but I haven't been having the time, but definitely the Pixel 5's camera is really good. With that ultra-wide sensor as well, you can do a lot with that sensor, and with the things like night mode and all those different capabilities that you have on the Pixel 5, it really does make it a solid camera pickup. It's not necessarily the greatest camera, I think, of this year. I think the Galaxy S20 probably has that, but this thing still has the capability of shooting 4K at 60, which is really cool. You have an 8 megapixel front facing camera, which only taps out at 1080p. If they maybe did like 4K at 30, that would have been better. But the Pixel 5's camera, I think, is a pretty solid camera for a $699 phone. But with the Galaxy S10e, for example, I don't know. I don't know if this camera would necessarily be better, but I feel like some of the photos look better from this specific camera, and I've been using this camera for a while, and this camera seems to be good. I think the biggest advantage of it is that, 4K at 60 on the back, which both phones have, but this one on the front has a 10 megapixel sensor, which you can do 4K at 60 on that front camera, which I think is also very important. So I would probably say, in terms of both cameras, the Galaxy S10e may be the better, well-rounded camera. I feel like the software on the back of the Pixel 5 is pretty good in terms of the camera lens and everything, but I don't know, I kind of give the edge to the S10e just because of the more capability, more features, and the 4K at 60 on the front camera. No.